Hello students of class 11C. So we are here with a new chapter, introduction, chapter 1, and let's see in this chapter, this is the chapter of statistics for economics, and let's see what is there in this chapter, how statistics helps in economic problems, to solve those problems and to mitigate or to make policies for it. To mitigate that problem. So we are going to study here in this chapter about Alfred Marshall's theory also. So let's start. I am reading from the beginning of this chapter. Why economics? You have perhaps already had economics as a subject for your earlier classes at school. You might have been told this subject is mainly around what Alfred Marshall, one of the founders of modern economics, called the study of man in the ordinary business of life. Let us understand what that means. So let's see here that what is economics actually according to Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall is the father of modern economics, right? And according to him, economics is the study of man in an ordinary business of life. So let's study what do Alfred Marshall meant by saying study of man in an ordinary business of life. These two parts will divide the sentence. First part, the study of man, and another part, in an ordinary business of life. So we are going to study here. First of all, as we know that economy is the collection of all the economic activities together, which are when performed generates income. So all those economic activities like that of a doctor, lawyer, businessman, shopkeeper, engineer, all these people are performing economic activities only, because after doing this work they get money for it, and therefore these are all economic activities. So according to Alfred Marshall, and when we collect all these economic activities together, an economy is formed, right? So what according to Alfred Marshall is economics? He used to say that it is the study of man. The study of man here means a man in an economy is going to play several roles. Different roles are performed by a particular individual in an economy. Like, for example, the first role that an individual performs, here we are going to see, according to Alfred Marshall, he has shown that about several different roles are played by an individual in the economy. Number one, like he plays a role of a consumer, right? And if you see that consumer is that person who is going to buy goods, right? And not only for himself but also for other people who depend on him. So if a person is going to purchase goods, maybe he is not going to purchase those goods for himself but for his family members, or maybe for any other person to give as a gift to him. So a person who is going to purchase goods is called a consumer. So one of the role is played here, like a consumer. And we know that there are three type of activities which are called to be as economic activities. Basic activities like that of consumption, production, and exchange. Here you can see that consumer, whenever he is purchasing goods, he is performing one economic activity, because there is a exchange of goods in monetary terms, that is in money, it is given. Then second role played by a man in an economy is of a seller. When you sell goods to make a profit for yourself, it is all in your NCERT book, I am reading from there only. When you sell goods to make a profit for yourself, you may be a shopkeeper. So whenever you are going to sell the different type of goods in your shop, then you are called to be as a seller. You are also performing an economic activity, because in this type of activity, you are going to earn money. Third role. The third role is of a producer. When you produce goods, you may be a farmer or manufacturing company, right? So maybe you are a farmer or you are having a manufacturing company, then you are a producer. You are going to produce goods. In this only you are going to, in this activity also you are going to earn money. This is also an economic activity. Then a man also plays a role of an employee. Who is an employee? A person who is going to work under his employer. He holds job, right? So when you are in a job working for some other person, you get paid for it. So whenever you are doing these type of jobs, then you get payment for it, whatever services you are giving to your employer. So man is also going to play a role of an employee. And the fifth role is of an employer. Another role which is played by a man in the economy is of an employer. So whenever somebody is going to give you wage or salary for the services you have provided to him, then you are an employer. So in this role also, the exchanges are done in monetary terms, in money form, and therefore it is also an economic activity. So here, according to Alfred Marshall, so many different 5 roles are played by a man, and it is written after that in an ordinary business of life. In an ordinary business of life here means in all these type of roles, a person is going to be gainfully employed. That means after doing or performing this type of activity, the person is going to get money for it. The person is going to get payment for it. So therefore all these activities are economic activities. And this is what we mean by ordinary business of life. This is the ordinary business of life that every individual performs in an economy to earn money. So according to Alfred Marshall, a study of man in an ordinary business of life, this is a type of theory of economics according to Alfred Marshall. Then if we see that one example, we cannot get something for nothing. That means you cannot get everything free of cost. You have to make payment for all those things that you need for sustaining your life. If we take an example of Aladdin, this person, Aladdin, was having a magic lamp. Whenever he used to rub the lamp, a genie used to appear, and whatever his demand is, Aladdin's demand, this genie used to fulfill all the demands without giving any price for it, without expenditure. All these things are provided to him. But this is only a tales, an imaginary story. What happens in the real life? In the real life, whenever you are going to get any type of good or purchase any type of good, you have to make payment for it in money, in monetary terms, right? So this is what is the basic teaching of economics, that whenever you want to get something, you have to make payment for it. And for this, every person, to make payments, to earn money, they perform different economic activities. In an economy, if you will see, scarcity is the root cause. If you will see here, scarcity is the root cause of all the economic problems. What do you mean by economic problems? If you are having a 10 rupee note and you are having 3 things in front of you, pen, copy and a pencil box, can you purchase all these 3 things in 10 rupee note? The resources with you are scarce, isn't it? The means through which you can purchase these things are limited. Your income is limited. So what you have to do is you have to make a choice. Which one is more important out of all the 3? Suppose You are going to give exam the next day. Then what you do is you will purchase a pen. So whatever is the most priority need, you will purchase that. So this means you are making a choice. Making a choice means this is an economic problem. You have to make choice. You cannot fulfill all your desires. This is an economic problem. So what happens in an economic problem? That so in an economic problem you have to make choices. Whenever you are going to make choices, an economic problem is there. So all these type of economic problems are directly connected to limited resources. Resources are limited, and because of this only these type of economic problems arise. You have to make choice. This is what is called as scarcity of resources. Its resources are limited. How can we give an example to show scarcity? Maybe you are in a market, what you will see? The buses are crowded. When you are moving to a railway station, you see a long queue on this ticket window. Why you are looking such a long queue, looking at such a long queue? Because number of tickets, number of seats which are required by different people are lesser. But the number of people are more. This means scarcity is the problem where demand is greater than the supply of goods and services. Right? Now let's see on the another page we are moving. This is page number 3. So on page number 3 you will see, if you thought about it, you might have realized that economics involves the study of man engaged in economic activities of various kinds. For this, you need to know reliable facts about all the diverse economic activities. So as I was telling you, whenever we are studying about economics, then we need to study about some basic facts. What we have studied till now? Every person is performing different activities to earn money. And for this reason only we need to study some basic activities which are related to economic activities. Number 1, here you can see study of consumption, production and distribution. These 3 are the studies related to diverse economic activities. So what is the study of consumption? In the study of consumption, if you will see, it is written, given the consumer's income, many alternative goods the consumer used to choose what to buy when he knows the prices. So a consumer in the market is going to make decisions. On what basis he is going to make decision? According to his given income, what type of goods can he purchase with his given income, and knowing about the prices of the goods. This is what the decision making is done by the consumer in the market. So this is the study of consumption. And apart from this, there is also another diverse activity of related to economic activity. It is production. So in production you will see it is written, we also want to know how the producer similarly chooses what and how to produce for the market. This is the study of production. So even the producer is going to make choice. About what? He chooses that what type of good the producer is going to produce. And he also has to make choice that how will he be able to produce that good. Because the main aim of the producer is to earn profit. So he has to make decision that which type of good will he produce that is going to give him more profit, to earn more profit. Only that good he is going to produce. On the other hand, if you see the study of distribution, so the above one is called the study of production. On the other hand, if you will see distribution, what is the study of distribution? if we see that a number of goods and services are produced in the economy in three different sectors: primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. When we take the money value of all these goods and services, then we get the gross domestic product, GDP. Like for example, 100 rupees goods are produced in the primary sector, 200 rupees goods are produced in the secondary sector, and 400 rupees services are produced in the tertiary sector. So total amount is 700. So 700 is the GDP, gross domestic product. This gross domestic product only is actually going to which person? Means the money value of goods and services. This 700 rupees is going to which person? Whose pocket is it going to go? Is it the producer? Actually no. There are 4 different factors of production which are required for any production of goods and services. 4 factors of production. These are land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. All these 4 factors of production are paid for their services in the form of rent, land in the form of rent, labor in the form of wages and salaries, capital in the form of interest, and entrepreneur in the form of profit. So all these payments are made to these 4 factors of production, which were combined together to produce goods and services in the firms. So if we have calculated that 700 was our GDP, the 700 rupees will be going to be distributed to all these 4 factors of production, which will in turn become the income of these factors of production and will become the national income, because national income is the income of all the residents of the country. So this is what is called as the distribution, study of distribution, how the money value of all the goods and services, that is GDP, is going to be distributed among all these 4 factors of production. This is the study of distribution. After this, if you will see that if we are going to say that what is statistics actually? The statistics is going to tell us any data about any data in numeral form. It gives us information in the exact value. Exact value here means, like if in an earthquake in Jammu and Kashmir, hundreds of people died. This is not a true value. But if we take the help of statistics, through statistics, we will count the numbers. What is the exact value? Like for example, in the second statement I will say, in an earthquake in Jammu and Kashmir, 300 people died. This is the exact value. This is what statistics helps to know about the exact values. Because the statistics tells about the data in number form, in numeral form. That is what the economist takes the help of statistics to solve various economic problems. On the other hand, if we see the definition of economics definition is, economics is the study of how people and society choose to employ scarce resources that could have alternative uses in order to produce various commodities. So as we know that in the particular society, if we take an example of a society, then the resources in this society are scarce, limited. With these limited resources, we have to produce variety of goods and services. Variety of goods and services with only these limited resources. And this is what is the study of economics. This is what is economics. How to manage the resources, scarce resources, to produce variety of goods and services. These resources are having alternative uses also. Means one resource is having number of uses, that is alternative uses. And it is written there that these goods and services which are produced with limited resources fulfill the wants of the different individuals in the society. So this is what is the definition of economics. Now, if we see in another topic, statistics in economics. What is the role of statistics in economics? So let's study. Whenever any type of economic problem is prevailing in any region, like for example, say there is a problem of poverty in a particular region. Whenever we want to solve this problem of poverty in that region, we must take the help of statistics. How? When we take the help of statistics, it means that we are going to collect the data. Data collection means what are the number of people living in that region, giving the exact value, how many people are there. So first of all, their name, their address, their age, all these things are required to be collected. Information about these people. So the collection of data first of all is done through statistical method. After collecting the data, then second step is to analyze. What do you mean by analyze? Analyze here means to find out the cause of the economic problem. What is the cause of economic problem? Poverty is the problem there in a region. Why this poverty is to be faced by the people of that region? Is it because of unemployment? Is it because of some backward technology in that region? Or any other? This is to be found out. And in this situation only, once we find out the cause of the economic problem, like if we found that due to backward technology, that village is suffering from poverty. And because of that backward technology, once the cause is found out, this is the second step, analyze. Then we reach to the third step. Third step is to mitigate the problem. Mitigate. That is to solve the problem. We have come to know that due to backward technology, people in the village were facing the problem of poverty. So now what the government will do? It will now start framing policies. It will start formulating policies. These policies will help to bring a new technological advancement in that village, which can solve the problem of poverty in that village. So this is how statistics helps in economic problems, how to solve these economic problems. So these are three steps. First step is to collect the data, second to analyze it, and thirdly to make policies. After this, let's see what is statistics. Actually, statistics is to be having two forms. There are two forms of ways we can study statistics. One is statistics in singular form and another one is statistics in plural sense. So singular sense and plural sense of statistics. What do we mean by this? If we take the plural sense of statistics means that in the statistical method there are two type of data which are collected: quantitative data, qualitative data. Quantitative data is that which can be numbered, which can be expressed in numbers, like for example marks of students, temperature, or height of students, weight of students. All these are the variables which can be expressed in numbers. This is what is called quantitative data. So in statistical methods, in plural sense, we can collect quantitative data which can be expressed in numbers, and the second data is qualitative data. The qualitative data is that in which the attribute of a person is to be measured. This attribute means quality of a person. Like for example, the gender. Is the person male or female? This is the quality. Nationality. No number can be given to it. A person is Indian, American, whatever. This is a qualitative data. So qualitative data can be given only a degree. Degree. What do you mean by degree here? Better, worst, like these type of degrees can be given, because we cannot give them or express the qualitative data in numbers. So how much is a person sick? Okay, or how much is a person healthy? Like all these degrees can be fixed in the expression of the qualitative data. So in statistics, in plural sense, means quantitative data and qualitative data. Then statistics in singular sense means what? When we talk about statistics in singular sense, it means collection of data. Secondly, after collecting the data, organization of data. After organizing the data, presentation of data. Once the data is collected, it is to be first of all organized. Organized means it will be classified. Like you make timetable of your class. Different days में, different periods कौन से होते हैं? You make a chart, timetable. That is in organized form, classified form. After that, presenting the data, how the data is going to be presented, whether in the form of a line graph, whether in the form of a bar graph, whether in the form of a pie chart, any other way. So, through these mathematical measurements also, the data is represented. And afterwards, it is analyzed. The data is analyzed by finding out the measures of central tendency, that is mean, median, mode, or by dispersion, by correlation, analyzes them. So this is what is statistics in singular sense. And after that, what are the advantages of statistics? What can you say about statistics? What are its we can say benefits? How can it be useful to us in economics? So first of all, statistics helps to find relationships between different economic factors. Okay, to find relationships, like for example, price and demand. If the price is going to rise, what will be the effect on the demand of the consumer? If the price is going to rise, demand is going to fall. This is a relationship that statistics finds out. What is the relationship between the price and supply? There is a positive relationship. Price and demand, there is a negative relationship. What will be the effect on the national income due to investment by the government today? More and more expenditure by the government today will lead to high rise in the income of the people. National income will rise. These are all the finding out relationships statistics helps. With this, statistics secondly summarizes the data. A large data is summarized. How the large data is summarized? By finding out the average values. Average values find out करेंगे तो एक large data को summarize कर सकते हैं, small कर सकते हैं. like average income, per capita income. How can it be calculated? We are unable to remember such a large population income of India, per person's income. So we can find out only the estimated value by finding out the average income. That is, dividing the total income from the population, we get per person's income, per capita income. And in the similar way, the statistics helps to predict what will be the effect of today's action, what will be the effect of previous year's production of wheat in the future, coming future, what will be the effect of the product on the production of the wheat. So statistics helps us to predict that in the previous years, what was the production of wheat, was it increasing or falling. By studying those statistical form of data, we can predict that in the coming 3 years, what will be the effect on the production of wheat. So all these different benefits are there of statistics. And in this way, one more thing is there that we must remember, the statistical methods are also no substitute for common sense. कॉमन सेंस जरूरी नहीं कि आप एवरेज इनकम निकालें तो मान लीजिए पर पर्सन इनकम आ रही है 200 रुपीज पर पर्सन, तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि एवरी पर्सन इज अर्निंग 200 रुपीज. मे बी द रियल इनकम ऑफ द पर्सन इज 10,000, but according to our average income, the person's income is coming 200. So this is a big error which can come. So it is very important that the statistical method should be used by some experts, क्योंकि statistical methods में कोई common sense नहीं होता. Like for example, a family of 4 members, father, mother and 2 children. What the father did, they have to cross the river. For the father of the family, he calculated the average depth of the river, and after that he calculated the average height of the family members. Say for example, the average depth of the river was coming 4 feet, and the average height of the members of the family are coming 5 feet. But the actual height of the children were very low, maybe one of 2 feet and another one of 3 feet. When they entered the river, children were drowned. So this is an example, a small example then to show that statistical methods have no substitute to common sense. These type of methods should be used by some very expert, and if inexperts are going to use these statistical methods, then it will lead to wrong information. Okay, so this was about the chapter of introduction.